So to understand how bad this gets, you need to understand where they're going. The A Shau Valley sits in the northwest corner of South Vietnam, right along the Laotian border. And in 1968, it wasn't just enemy territory, it was the funnel. Everything the NVA pushed south, troops, weapons, supplies, came through that valley and down the Ho Chi Minh Trail. Hue, Phu Bai, Da Nang. Every major target in the northern sector of South Vietnam got hit with men and material that passed through the A Shau. The NVA knew how important it was. They'd already overrun 3 Green Beret A camps in the valley. They had anti-aircraft batteries set up. They'd created specialized sapper units trained specifically to hunt SOG recon teams. And here's the part that tells you everything. The NVA had created what amounted to a kill an American medal. Any NVA soldier who killed a SOG recon man got decorated for it. That's the neighborhood. Running missions into the A Shau was the job of the men at FOB-1, Forward Operating Base 1, a top-secret compound at Phu Bai. These guys operated under MACV-SOG, the Military Assistance Command Vietnam, Studies and Observations Group, the most classified unit in the entire war. Their chain of command went straight to the White House and the Joint Chiefs of Staff. If they got captured, the United States would deny they existed. The recon teams were small, usually 3 Americans and a handful of Vietnamese or Montagnard fighters. They'd insert by helicopter deep into Laos or Cambodia, gather intelligence on enemy movement, and try to get out alive. The emphasis there is on try. The casualty rate for SOG recon was 100%, not over a career, per tour. These guys were all SF qualified, Special Forces, Green Berets. The training pipeline they went through at Bragg was the same one that's been producing special operators for decades. And the missions they were running, small teams, deep in enemy territory, no conventional support. That's the essence of what special operations is. Except these guys were doing it in some of the most hostile terrain on the planet against an enemy that had specifically trained units to kill them. Pay attention on this one, because what happens next is a masterclass in what happens when leadership fails and individual grit has to fill the gap. This is as intense as combat gets. But before Spike Team Alabama even gets on a helicopter, something happens on the visual recon flight that should have shut this whole mission down, and it involves a helmet full of brains. 2 days before the mission launches, October 3rd, ST Alabama's got to fly a visual reconnaissance over the target area. Standard procedure. You go up in a small single-engine observation plane flown by 2 Vietnamese pilots, you look at your primary and secondary landing zones, and you come back. Specialist 4th Class Lin M. Black Jr., call sign Blackjack, climbs into the back seat with ST Alabama's new team leader, the 1-0. Black is a combat-hardened paratrooper. He'd already served a full year with the 173rd Airborne Brigade. He knew the jungle. He knew the enemy. He knew how to fight. The 1-0 was new. He got the job because he had more rank than Black. Not more experience. Not more time in the bush. More rank. And if you've spent any time in the military, you know exactly how that story ends. They're flying over the target, picking out LZs, when a 12.7-meter heavy machine gun round punches through the floor of the aircraft. It hits the Vietnamese co-pilot under the chin. The impact is so violent that his helmet slams into the ceiling and ricochets into Black's lap. The helmet still had part of the co-pilot's head in it. Black can't move, can't open a window. The pilot slams the aircraft down to treetop level and races back to South Vietnam. Black pukes into the helmet. That night, the guys at FOB-1 cracked jokes about Black's puke and brain salad. That's the culture. That's how you survive. You laugh at the thing that should break you, and you get ready for the next mission. Because Saturday morning, October 5th, nobody's laughing. The South Vietnamese piloted H-34 helicopters, call sign King Bees, lift off from Phu Bai and fly west. Clear skies at base, cloudy over the target. The launch commander calls it a cakewalk. Staff Sergeant Robert Spider, Parks, and Staff Sergeant Patrick Mandolin. Watkins know better. They know this target has already chewed up FOB-1 teams. There are no new landing zones. The NVA knows every LZ in the area. Watkins is riding Covey, the forward air controller, circling above in an Air Force O2 Cessna, which means he's the lifeline between the team on the ground and every aircraft in the sky. The first King Bee touches down. The 1-0, the 1-1, and 3 Vietnamese team members jump out. Smooth. Black's King Bee spirals down toward the LZ, and that's when he sees it. An NVA flag, planted on top of a nearby knoll. From his time with the 173rd, Black knew what that flag meant. At minimum, a regiment. Roughly 3,000 NVA soldiers in the immediate area. 3,000 against 9. The math doesn't work. Black and Cowboy, Con Don, one of the Vietnamese fighters on the team, start arguing for immediate extraction. The team's been compromised. The element of surprise is gone. The 1-0's response, "No, I'm an American. No slant-eyed son of a bitch is going to run me off." Watkins, circling overhead, offers the 1-0 a chance to extract. The offer is declined. ST Alabama is to continue the mission. My 2 cents is you can't fix stupid, but it can get people killed. The 1-0 then makes the one decision that guarantees everything goes wrong. And within minutes, ST Alabama is fighting for its life. The 1-0 orders the point man to walk down a well-traveled trail. I need you to understand something. The first rule of Special Operations Reconnaissance, the absolute first thing they teach you, is you never, ever use trails. Especially well-traveled ones. Trails are kill zones. They're where the enemy sets ambushes. Every man on that team knew it. Black argued against it. Cowboy argued against it. Hoa, the Vietnamese point man, argued against it. The 1-0 pulled rank. The trail curves left into the jungle, running parallel to a small rise on the right, maybe 10 to 20 feet above the team. An NVA colonel, the same man who would call Black on the telephone 3 decades later, has assembled 50 soldiers on that rise. They set up a textbook L-shaped ambush in the perfect spot with a serious kill zone. The NVA colonel waited for the patrol to get close before they opened fire. The jungle goes quiet. Then it explodes. AK-47s and SKS rifles open up from above. The rounds rip into the point man, hitting his chest and face. The impact lifts his canteen covers, keeps his body suspended in the air for a fraction of a second before he hits the ground. 3 rounds hit the 1-0 in the head. He's dead before he falls. The 1-1, the assistant team leader, buries his face in the dirt and starts praying. He will not fire a single shot for the next 12 hours. And here's where this story turns. Lynn Black does something that the NVA colonel will ask him about 31 years later. He doesn't get down. Black stands up, in the middle of an L-shaped ambush with 50 NVA firing from an elevated position. He stands there with his CAR-15 on single shot and starts picking off enemy soldiers one by one with well-aimed shots. He reloads, keeps firing, spinning them around when they fall, shooting some of them twice. The NVA colonel, lying wounded on that ridge, watches the whole thing. And there's nothing he can do about it. That was the first 5 minutes. This battle lasts 12 hours. And what these men do to survive is something no training manual could ever prepare you for. Black and Cowboy form the surviving team into a circle. They're in a low spot, ground rising on both sides. They open up with everything. M79 grenade rounds, CAR-15 fire, anything they've got. Both sides reload. Wounded on both sides, moaning and groaning in the jungle. Black gets on the PRC-25 radio to Covey. 2 Americans dead, 2 Vietnamese wounded, surrounded. Covey's response is to argue with him about whether the dead guys are actually dead. This isn't the last time Covey will say something unhelpful. The silence ends when over 100 NVA reinforcements open fire. The enemy is now 2 rows deep. Front row with AK-47s, back row throwing grenades and launching B-40 RPGs. The NVA call out in French, English, and Vietnamese for ST Alabama to surrender. The team's weapons drown out the surrender request. The 1-1 continues to pray. Black and Cowboy blast through the NVA line using claymore mines with time delay fuses. They charge through the carnage, dragging their wounded, firing on full auto, throwing M26 fragmentation grenades. They count at least 50 NVA dead. Another wave hits. ST Alabama gets pushed toward a cliff. 1,000-foot drop. They charge through the weakest flank, killing more enemy, when a grenade catches Black on the side of the head. He slams face first into a tree. His Car-15 bends at the receiver. The bolt won't cycle. The weapon is done. The team beats Black back to consciousness, pours water on his face. His pants are gone from the knees down, surface bleeding everywhere. One of the Vietnamese starts smearing gelatinized rice on his wounds. They bury the bent rifle and keep moving. And then, without a word, without a plan, acting on nothing but instinct, they start dragging dead NVA soldiers back to their position. They stack the bodies in a circle. They build a wall made of the enemy dead. Word spreads through Fob 1. This is now a prairie fire emergency, the highest priority. Every aircraft in the theater gets pulled from whatever they're doing and diverted to St. Alabama. Marine Huey gunships from Scarface, HML 367 out of Phu Bai, arrive first. A CH-46 with an extraction ladder comes in behind them. Green tracers light up the sky. The ground fire is too intense. The CH-46 takes hits and has to make an emergency landing at Camp Eagle. The King Bees regroup and fly back. 2 H-34s come chugging up the valley. Black pops a green smoke grenade to mark his position. The NVA pop an identical green smoke. The first King Bee follows the wrong smoke. An RPG hits it dead on. The chopper topples on its side, rotor blades smashing into the ground. Shrapnel nearly takes out St. Alabama. Black, Cowboy, and another team member charge the RPG position and kill 3 NVA before getting driven back. The second King Bee clips a rock outcropping on the western side of the knoll after taking heavy fire. It explodes and falls 1,000 feet to the valley floor. With it goes St. Alabama's resupply. Ammo, grenades, claymores, water, bandages, morphine. Everything they need to survive. Gone. Covey says something sarcastic over the radio. Black tells Covey exactly where to go. The Car-15 ammo is almost gone. They start scavenging AK-47s and loaded magazines from dead NVA soldiers. Then the NVA bugles sound. Waves of NVA with fixed bayonets charge their position. And they're not the only ones coming. The Air Force is sending in the Jolly Green Giants, the most heavily armored rescue helicopters in the inventory. The first one that tries doesn't make it. The pilot who does will break his back in the crash. The NVA bayonet charge comes with SKSs on semi-auto. St. Alabama opens up on full auto. It's a turkey shoot. When it's over, the team adds more dead NVA to the cadaver wall. Then the NVA try something different. They form a line with AK-47 shooters in front and grenade teams behind. The grenade teams are swinging leather thongs loaded with 3 to 5 grenades each. On signal, the AKs fire. St. Alabama ducks. The thongs release. Dozens of grenades arc through the sky. Catch, throw, duck. The AKs fire again. More grenades, catch, throw, duck, over and over. Grenade shrapnel severs the antenna on Black's PRC-25. He rigs an improvised antenna from wire. Cowboy hears the NVA commander ordering his troops to prepare another charge. Black rigs a claymore. When the NVA charge, he detonates it. Blows a hole in their ranks. St. Alabama runs through the gap. The Air Force sends in the Jolly Green Giants, HH-3E Sikorskis from the 37th Air Rescue and Recovery Group, 22,000 pounds loaded, twin turboshaft engines, heavy armor. The first one, call sign JG-28, comes in and spots 2 orange panels, one from St. Alabama, one from the NVA. The hesitation is nearly fatal. Heavy fire severs the main fuel line. 2 to 3 inches of aviation fuel pool on the cabin floor. JG-28 limps back to Da Nang. JG-10 comes in next. Major Vernon Sam Grenier at the controls. It's his first mission in the Prairie Fire AO. Grenier doesn't hesitate. He brings the Jolly Green straight in. NVA gunfire reaches a deafening roar. One round tears a 6-inch hole through the floor and hits an engine. Both engine warning lights come on. Both engines are on fire. Grenier fights the aircraft away from the kill zone. Both crew members keep firing their weapons until the burning HH-3E slams into the jungle. Grenier breaks his back in the crash but pulls himself out of the wreckage. His flight engineer, Sergeant Ernest Dean Casbier, gets thrown clear. Back at Fob 1, the word goes out. They're discussing a B-52 arc light strike on the area. That's how bad it is. Around 1800 hours, they've been fighting for nearly 12 hours. A voice comes over the radio. Blackjack, JG-32. I'm parked down in the draw, in the trees from you. You have 20 minutes of fuel before I leave. The first person we must see is an American. Hurry. We're taking heavy ground fire. Major Don Olson has cut his Jolly Green Giant into a hole in the jungle canopy. ST Alabama moves. Everything they can't carry goes over the cliff. They find the village with hooches on stilts and rice cooking in pots. They find Casbeer, the Air Force flight engineer from the crashed JG-10, eating from one of the pots. They find Grenier with his broken back. They reach JG-32 and the hoist comes down. 3 team members go up first. Second load, Grenier, Casbeer, and a wounded Vietnamese fighter. The Vietnamese fighter gets tangled in jungle vines on the way up. The hoist stops. They lower him. He untangles, goes back up hanging on with his hands while Casbeer holds him. Black runs back to get the rest. That's where he finds Quang, the tail gunner, shot through the crotch, an artery severed, shaking violently, skin gone white. Quang points his .45 at the advancing NVA. He looks at Black. Toi Kiet. I die. He motions for Black to get back to the helicopter. Then he shoots himself. Black is sprinting back to JG-32 when 2 NVA soldiers step onto the trail. AK-47s leveled at his chest. Chiu Hoi! Surrender. Black stretches out his arms, keeps walking toward them. When he's a few feet away, he says it back. Chiu Hoi. The young soldiers look surprised. Before they can react, Black grabs both AK-47s by the searing hot barrels, rips them from their hands, backhands one soldier, and smashes the other in the face with a rifle. He leaves them there and sprints to the chopper. The jungle penetrator lifts Black and the 1-1, still praying, still having never fired a shot, toward the aircraft. Hot brass from the M60 and every other weapon firing out of JG-32 rains down on them. Major Olson pushes the Jolly Green to maximum power. As the overloaded HH-3E rises out of the jungle, B-40 rockets slam into the armor-plated belly. Black describes each hit like a giant punching the ship in the stomach, boosting it upward with every blast. Watkins, watching from above, can't believe the bird keeps flying. It doesn't. Not for long. JG-32 catches fire and crash lands after clearing 2 ridgelines. Olson got them out of the kill zone, but the helicopter is done. A Coast Guard exchange pilot, Lieutenant Commander Lonnie Mixon, picks up the survivors in another Jolly Green. He takes over 30 hits during the extraction. Black and the 1-1 get strapped to the armament compartment doors of a Cobra gunship. Seatbelts attached to the weapon bay doors. Flying alongside the Jolly Green at full speed, Black has to turn his face away just to breathe. They land at a Marine medevac site in Da Nang. At the Da Nang infirmary, everyone's getting patched up. Though, the Vietnamese team leader who fought like hell all day raises his fist when he sees Black. Chieu Hoi Du Ma! Listen up, men. I want to commend each and every one of you for a job well done. As the team leader of ST Alabama, I want you to know I personally am going to put each of you in for the Medal of Honor. Back at Phu Bai, a quiet gathering in the club raised glasses to ST Alabama's survival. Spider and Watkins, the Covey riders who kept the air support coming all day, both said the same thing. Lynn Black was the reason the team came home. Black received a Silver Star from Colonel Jack Warren for his actions that day. Now here's where this story reaches across 5 decades and grabs you. 31 years later, Black cooperated with U.S. government teams searching for the remains of SOG members lost in the Prairie Fire AO. A few months after one of those searches, his phone rings. A man on the other end identifies himself as an NVA general. He tells Black he was the colonel who led the first 50 NVA troops into the L-shaped ambush on October 5, 1968. He gave the order that triggered the ambush. Who was the American who didn't lie down? The one with the radio on his back? Black tells him it was him. You shot me 3 times that day. The worst thing about having you shoot me was the fact that I was lying there watching you kill my men, and there was nothing I could do about it. They talk for a while. Black mentions the NVA flag, tells the general he assumed it was a regiment. maybe 3,000 troops. The general's response: no, it was a division. We had about 10,000 soldiers of the Army of North Vietnam there that day. He confirms 90% casualties, 90% from direct combat with a 9-man recon team, and the airstrikes black called in over 12 hours. 9 men, 10,000 NVA, 90% enemy casualties. Let's do the math. Even at conservative estimates, that means hundreds of NVA killed or wounded. By a team that lost its leader in the first 5 minutes, had a 1-1 who never fired his weapon, and was down to scavenging enemy rifles and stacking the dead for cover. Here's the thing about Spike Team Alabama. This story was classified for decades. The men who fought that day couldn't talk about it. The families of the men who died there couldn't know what happened. The Vietnamese fighters, Cowboy, Tho, Hoa, Quang, their names don't appear on the wall in Washington. Neither do the names of the King Bee pilots who flew into that hell, or the Jolly Green crews who gave their lives trying to get those men out. This is what the secret war looked like. Not the war on the evening news, not the war the politicians debated. The real one. Fought by men whose own country would deny they existed. Lynn Black went on to more missions with ST Idaho, alongside John Stryker Meyer, callsign Tilt, who wrote the books and the podcasts that eventually brought these stories to light. If you want to go deeper, Meyer's book Across the Fence and Black's memoir Whiskey Tango Foxtrot are where you start. Jocko Willink covered this story on Jocko Podcast, episode 247. The sources are real, the men are real, and what they did deserves to be remembered. If this story hit you the way it hit me, subscribe. We're telling the stories that got buried, the ones that matter. More SOG and LRRP content is coming.